Come on.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated here
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuit!
Everybody loves Hippo Toes.
Scary dog!
Dancing at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting Premier Podcast TV Party tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite show, as it has been in many episodes past, is Looney Tunes Cartoons, brought to you by the good people at Warner Brothers and HBO Max. Tonight, we are up to season 4. And in addition to that, we are also talking about their Looney Tunes Cartoons Valentines Extwavaganza. Extwavaganza.
Interestingly enough that they decided to go with that, even though the 3 shorts featured do not feature Elmer Fudd.
That is a interesting note. And of course, joining me once again to do this is Alexis Hejna from Honeysuckle Rose Creations. How do you do, Alexis?
Gotta be here, the one and only walking, talking cartoon encyclopedia to the Radulich and Broadcasting Network.
That's why we have you aboard, madam. That's why we have you aboard. Everyone has a role. So we were talking before I flipped on the quarter, and there's always like a pre-show, like preamble, and then we're like, okay, we should actually talk about this on the show. But you and I were kind of kicking this back and forth, and it's like these are fun enough cartoons, but you watch them as I used to watch them, the 22-minute, half an hour syndicated show where they would put 2 or 3 of these on, and then that would be it, and then you'd go about your day. They weren't 2, 3 hour long blocks of these. And I'm now starting to realize that if 4 seasons into this, maybe watching them in 3 hour blocks is not a great idea.
I watch the classic Looney Tunes all the time. You know, I love the fact that HBO Max does have the classic cartoons on there. Several decades of it. There's actually a ton of classic black and white cartoons that they have featured that I have not seen in millennia. I love watching them. I've constantly got them on in the background noise for background noise while I'm working, when I'm, doing graphic design, when I'm making jewelry, when I'm trying to write questions for Tripped Up Trivia, plug. But yeah, this new season, we've been talking before about the ups and downs of the Looney Tunes cartoons. And for the record, when I say Looney Tunes cartoons, we are referring to this new batch. If I just say classic Looney Tunes, we're referring to Termite Terror's golden era of animation. Want to make sure our listeners understand exactly what we're talking about. Yep. And we've been talking for the last 3 other seasons about what we feel were the strengths of the Looney Tunes cartoons and their weaknesses. And on the 3rd season, we said they were starting to get a lot better. We were noticing improvement. The things that... Yeah, thank you. She's got a deer antler. The things that we said we wanted to see more of, we were seeing more of. We were seeing more variety in locations. We were seeing them bring in more characters. We said we wanted to see, I understand that obviously Pepe Le Pew and Speedy Gonzales are never going to see the light of day again.
No, but I could do at least 2 or 3 more episodes per season of Cicero, who remains to be the best character they've got going.
Yeah, but this season seems to have backpedaled a little bit. Now, there wasn't any one particular short that I consider... Well, there was one short that I was very unhappy with, but I wouldn't consider it just absolutely horrible. And that would be the Elmer's funeral episode. I know where they were trying to go with that. It was kind of trying to be in the same vein. There's a classic Chuck Jones cartoon called The Hype...
Which one is that one again? Yeah, no. Talk to me about that episode. We don't need to go over these in order again. I kind of want to have just a general conversation. So which one is this one? Remind me.
That is Funeral for a Fudd. Elmer tries to trick Bugs into thinking he killed him so he can get an easy shot at him, but Bugs is onto the gag, so he pretends that he has fully killed him and holds this big funeral and pretends to be his parents. And
okay, yeah, I vaguely remember that one. I also don't remember laughing that much at it. Either the one that, and I'm going to let you finish your point, but the one that I thought you were referring to at first was the April Fool's joke, which... you finished your point, but we need to come back to that because I could talk about that for at least 20 minutes. Jesus Christ.
Fair enough. Well, I felt that they were trying to go after this classic Chuck Jones cartoon called the
Hmm.
Hypochondriacat, in
Hmm.
which you have Hubie and Boyd, the mice,
Hmm.
and Claude the cat. And Claude is a hypochondriac, so Hubie and Boyd manage to convince Claude that he's sick, and then that they're going to operate on him, and then that he's accidentally died in under the operation or
Hmm.
under the knife, so that they could basically get him out of the house and just have the house to themselves. And it's a very twisted kind of cartoon, but it does still maintain the humor and the lighthearted attitude because Hubie and Boyd never play up like they're grateful that Claude is gone.
Hmm.
This time we get Bugs pretending to be his Elmer's mother and father, which does kind of raise the question just how stupid is Elmer that he thinks that's his parents. But that talking about how they're very disappointed in Elmer and how he was just never that good of a son. It's like, we don't want to see this. It's not funny.
So to your point, you raised an issue, I think, with the last season. It was either the last season or the season before that, where Bugs has always been a icon of positivity, almost to the point where he just doesn't recognize what's going on around him at times. He's always like putting a positive spin on things. So you had brought up at the time Bugs and Witch Hazel's castle, and he's like nice decor and all of that, and he it's not even registering that he's in danger. But
Exactly.
then fast forward to the Egyptian one where he's just complaining incessantly. And it's like, this isn't the Bugs Bunny we remember. Now fast forward again to this cartoon, and it's more of what you're talking about there, in the sense that there's an air of, I don't know if it's cynicism or just a misreading of what those old cartoons were by, these are in the hands of new, young, hip people working for, Warner Brothers and HBO Max. And obviously they've seen these cartoons, but I'm not sure they ever understood why they're funny. And so it's kind of like recopying the Bible, and you only and you don't totally understand the language you're copying and translating until you just go, it means this. And it's a complete misreading or mistranslation of the Bible verse.
Well,
Kind of the same
apparently
thing here.
apparently they think they can't do a Yosemite Sam cartoon without his first dialogue being, "I'm blankety blank Sam, the roughest, toughest." Like, seriously, do you notice every cartoon he's in, he starts with that?
Right. And like, go back and watch the classic ones, and they would just get into it. He didn't need to come out there, like it's a Shakespearean play, like, I'm Sam, it's just bowing to the crowd and explaining who he is, and and moving on from there. Yeah, I think that is where I've landed with these. My kids have less of that kind of an issue because they haven't seen as many of these as I have, didn't grow up with them. So they react somewhat differently. But for me, this is becoming, I think, a theme throughout Hollywood. I think it's worth exploring, at least just for a minute. We might be talking about Looney Tunes cartoons, but it's something I see a lot of, that because there are so many of these properties that are refreshed and remade and rehashed, you get lesser versions of the original. And it's not my Batman kind of a thing. It's more of, you fail to understand what made this popular in the first place. You're doing your interpretation of why you think it's popular. You think you understand the assignment when you really don't, and then you put the product out there and it misfires wildly. And I think we sort of hit that tipping point with these Looney Tunes cartoons, where I don't think once all the hysteria about which characters are woke and which ones aren't, and which ones are wearing clothes and which ones aren't, or what kind of clothes they're wearing, once all of that stuff is passed, you just have the material to work with and really examine. You're like, these aren't quite as good as the classic ones I remember.
Mm-hmm. It really felt that they were straying too much into what they knew were safe cartoons. Yeah. We get an overuse of gags. We get an overuse of cliches. We talked in the past about how we liked that they were adding more cartoon characters. We wanted to see, Looney Tunes has one of the biggest encyclopedias of characters known to man. And again, I understand that there are certain characters that are never going to get used, but we talked in the last one about how they brought in Pete Puma and Petunia Pig and everything. It was just like, yes, we want to see more of those. We want to see more callbacks. We didn't get that. We got one cartoon with Pete Puma, which was kind of disturbing, actually. That's one where Pete eats himself. It's like, let's just wrong.
It's really bizarre. I mean, I think I laughed just because I was so surprised But yeah, it was one that was just like, huh, I don't know if you people think you know what you're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, did you even notice there was no Wile E. Coyote shorts this time?
I did notice that. So I want to talk about, because it's the one short of this that really sticks out in my brain, because look, I watch a lot of Family Guy. I understand the humor in beating a joke to death so hard that it dies and comes back to life because you've continued to beat it so much. Like, I get it. My own humor is that way, so it's not like I think that humor is not funny, but there. I think sometimes it's a weapon you have to wield very, very daintily, very specifically. If you do it all the time or do it in the wrong area, I think you kind of miss the point.
Nobody ever got the dead horse joke better than South Park.
Yeah, for
Did
sure.
you see the Jared from Subway episode before the controversy? With it's like, I have AIDS, AIDS, and then he's literally, it's like, look, he's literally over there beating that dead horse. To this day, that is like I think the funniest thing Trey Parker and Matt Stone have ever come up with.
For sure. So this April Fool's joke, yeah. So Daffy is torturing Porky Pig with April Fool's jokes. Yes, as he does. We get, once again, but to your point about using the same characters ad nauseum, we get a lot of Porky and Daffy here. The only switch up to this that I can say, I was like, oh, okay, at least they're doing something different now. You get some Daffy and Elmer, which was at least a change of pace. But anyway, so Daffy is torturing Porky with different April Fool's jokes, and finally, Porky having had enough of it, Daffy goes too far, blows up the house, and thinks he's killed Porky. Porky, we'll find out later, is playing dead. We think he really is dead, though. Then there's the funeral, and Daffy throws himself on top of the casket. And then it's this close-up shot of the grave. And then the seasons pass, and they pass, and they pass, and they pass. And like, okay, I was with you for a couple of passes. And then it kept going and going.
Until it's like, what, 87 years or something?
Yeah, like almost 100 years later. And then it cuts to Daffy, and he's an old man. And I kind of looked at my kids, and we were all like, well, this got dark in a hurry.
I think all of us were going
really dark.
I think a lot of us were going, we know what the punchline is.
Yeah.
Get to it.
Right. They just one or two passes and you could have made the same joke. Like go from day to night, go from winter to spring once or twice and then stop. And then flash to Daffy. That went on for a good 2-3 minutes, it felt like. It went on forever.
They do the same thing with the one where Daffy is caddy to Elmer at a golf tournament, and he pops open a soda when Elmer is telling everyone to be quiet. And I'm just like, just burp. We know what's coming. Just burp. Just drink and get the belch. You open a soda for a reason. You're going to burp.
Yeah, I remember that one. To conclude, so then, of course, then Porky pops out of the grave and yells April Fool, and Daffy dies. That should have been the end. Like, I got him, and that's all, folks. That's it. But no, Daffy then has to get up from the grave, and then he has to tear off his costume, and he hasn't aged at all. And then they just hug each other and go, "Oh, aren't we best friends?" And then of course it can't end there. They have to do another beat. He's like, "What year are we in anyway?" And then you see a spaceship fly by, or a flying car, or whatever it is. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, this is one of those deals where you blew past funny a while ago. You're now like into a farm. You're hitting cows. That's how far off the road you are.
Like I said, I mean, we only get 2 shorts with Sylvester, one with Tweety.
Mm-hmm.
The first short with Sylvester I thought was kind of funny because he goes into a bird aviary to just try to catch other birds.
Right.
And that I thought was kind of funny. That got a little cute. Especially the bit with the woodpecker.
Well, I was gonna say, that whole thing that leads up to one sight gag, which is Sylvester eating the woodpecker over and over and over again until he realizes he's had all these holes cut in him, which I kind of laughed at. So I'm gonna talk about, again, I watch this with my kids, which is always a fun perspective. But before I do, let's check in with one of our sponsors here, which is Grammarly. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. They may help you write better cartoons than this. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2Mnetwork. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2Mnetwork to download Grammarly for free. Now, I know there's often the conversation of who are Looney Tunes cartoons really meant for, because, as we've talked about, and as you as historian very well know, these were cartoons posted on a reel as part of an entire feature at your 10-cent movie theater back in the day. So they were meant for a general audience, but a general adult audience. Something that was there for the adults, but the kids could enjoy too, because it's not like you're going to see a boob come out or anything. There's no harsh language as such.
Back in the day, there was no concept of, we should make stuff for kids.
Right.
It just didn't exist.
Right. You made stuff for a general audience. This is like famously my friends and I talking about the Elmer Fudd talking to his dog going, "Wova, you're plastered," because again, adults would have found that funny. The dog was drunk. Kids, not so much. But anyway, but then they syndicated this stuff, and it became, we'll show them during the hours that children watch television. And now it's just sort of believed that the Looney Tunes cartoons are a child thing. And so I watched them with two children, an 11-year-old and an almost 8-year-old. And I can't tell you how much my daughter almost didn't make it to the end of the marathon that we did. Like, and I'm bringing that up for a reason, because I'm wondering if other people are now having this reaction to these, where she's like, it's the same thing over and over again. The villains are this is what you were talking about. The villains in this thing are so stupid, I'm not sympathetic towards them. And the good guys are such assholes, though she didn't use that word.
I don't know if your kids curse or not.
I'm going with asshole as a short form of what she was describing, but she was like, Bugs always wins, but Bugs is a jerk. Daffy always wins, but Daffy's a jerk. And Porky, Elmer Fudd, and Yosemite Sam are so stupid, I can't feel sorry for them. And now I don't know, I'm watching a jerk abuse a moron. I don't know why I'm watching this. And I was like, that's a valid point to make, because I never really felt that way about the classic Looney Tunes, that it was jerks abusing morons.
Exactly.
And that's what this has become.
I just wanted more of the variety that we have gotten in the last two seasons. The stuff that we said, yes, you're listening to us. You are listening to what we say you need to improve. This was the same gags over and over. I wanted more variety. I wanted to see more. I wanted a Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner short. We didn't get Marvin the Martian. We didn't get Tasmanian Devil. Just, there are so many characters. You guys do not have to constantly have Bugs with Elmer or Daffy with Elmer and Porky with Daffy. Those are the classic combos. I get that. But there's so much more you could be doing with this.
So think about this. There's a Bugs Bunny and Elmer cartoon with Humphrey Bogart in it. And why is Humphrey Bogart?
Hair. That is my husband's favorite cartoon, actually. Why'd you hit me in the face with a coconut custard pie with whipped cream?
So other than when I hand somebody something and say, Egon, your mucus, the other thing I like to do is, your pie, sir. Whenever I'm handing, like, you're what now? Yeah, I love that one. And that, why did you hit me in the face with a banana cream pie? That's funny. There's a lot that I've copped from that episode. I guess baby will just have to have a ham sandwich. But that is a phrase bandied about this house a lot.
I actually had that playing in the background while I was prepping dinner the other night. When you get to the scene where Bugs starts dancing to the Latin American music, I'm actually like dancing in the kitchen, going dun, 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 dun. Just dancing along with Bugs. I love that scene.
It's listen, Chubby. So the point that I brought that up is, what the old classic cartoons used to be really, really good at is drawing in from other places. That's not the only one where they've had. That's the only one where they have a Humphrey Bogart, but it's the one that's most memorable to me. But they've had celebrities from other walks of life on a variety of different cartoons. We haven't had one yet. I mean, you don't have to do Space Jam to have LeBron James show up in your cartoon. Like, why can't The Rock Why can't Dwayne Johnson show up in one of these?
I
Whoever.
think they're trying to keep them a little more timeless than that. Not to mention, I'm starting to wonder if they're also looking at what Animaniacs is doing and how their style of humor with bringing in current characters is not going over that well. And I wonder if they're kind of saying, let's not do what is kind of ruining Animaniacs. I mean, can we just sit back and be grateful that that Looney Tunes hasn't made a Trump joke yet?
I mean, okay, valid argument, but it goes to your point that after a while, you're just doing the same bits over and over and over again. And the classic ones were a little bit better about adding more variety in there. And one of the things that helped with that was, hey, why don't we do a cartoon where we put a celebrity in there? And again, you don't necessarily, I mean, Humphrey Bogart wasn't a caricature of Humphrey Bogart. He wasn't even really a character in the short. He's there to put pressure on Elmer Fudd so that Elmer Fudd can chase Bugs Bunny around, and he only makes 2 or 3 different appearances.
He activates the plot. He's the plot device.
Right. So your point about Animaniacs, while I take it as valid, I think where Animaniacs tries to make the short about the celebrity, we're making fun of this celebrity, we are parodying this celebrity. Why not? Again, I'm just going to go with Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson comes in and says, I want roast rabbit. and now Elmer Fudd has to go get roast rabbit, and then maybe later on when he doesn't do it, he gives him the rock bottom through a table, something like that. I don't know.
I want to see more locations. Like for one, do you remember when I can't remember which season it was, but we had Bugs was in ancient Rome go up against the Tasmanian Devil.
Right.
That was a good short. That's the kind of thing I want to see. I did like the short that we had Rocky and Muggsy in, even though it was kind of a carbon copy of the classic Bugsy and Muggsy cartoon. It's like, open up. This is the place. All right, Rabbit. Where's Rocky? Where's he hiding? He's on the stove. Oh, he's hiding in the stove, eh? When I turn on the gas, if my pal Rocky was in there, you might, Rabbit. You might. My Irish accent comes and goes in waves.
Fine. I'm not going to make fun of you for that. But even the Rocky and Muggsy thing, they're making fun of cop shows of the time when they do that. So, we can't get the Looney Tunes riffing on Ocean's 11. We can't get, the Looney Tunes riffing on like the modern heist film. There's so much stuff that has happened since the 50s that they could be making fun of. There's so much stuff that's happened since the 80s that they could be making fun of. And they're just dealing with those things. But instead, it's always the same gag over and over and over again. So I don't remember anything else about this season. If there's a couple of other shorts you just want to briefly touch on, we can. Otherwise, I want to talk about the Valentine's Day show.
There's not really that much. Again, a lot of them aren't really. Again, I don't think there's any particularly horrible shorts. There's no real. We've also talked in the previous about how they really need to tone down the gross out humor. I think the only time I even squirmed a little bit, and unfortunately, was the opening gag, or not the opening gag, but in the first episode where Sylvester pulls Porky out through the peephole by his eye. That was weird. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't like gross, but it felt kind of forced. It's like, the eyeball pops right out of the whole thing, so you can get a hold of it. It's like, what the hell?
This one, balloon salesman, everything pops. As an interstitial, I don't want to get too caught up in it, but it was another one where I was like, that's just disturbing to watch. This is the one where everything in the frame is a balloon. And so Porky, innocently enough, tries to just buy a balloon from a balloon salesman. But every time he goes to interact with it, another balloon pops, and it turns out the salesman pops too. And the whole thing pops, and now it's just a white background. And then Daffy walks in at the end and says something sarcastic.
It's like, you just had to have a balloon, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, there's some just weirdly disturbing imagery from this. So
little existential dread there.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, no, the fact is, we know what these guys need to. I'm going to adjust my screen here for a second. We know what these guys need to do to make these shorts funnier. We've mentioned, at the start of when we started reviewing these seasons, what we want to see. We started seeing it, and it just feels like this season they got lazy. It's like, guys, you were on the right track. You just give us more.
That's actually a really good point. Like, I'm starting to wonder if, I think I talked to you about like, well, I I feel like they've done it now. We have these Looney Tunes cartoons. Like, I'm good with them just not doing this anymore. They may never stop at this point, as long as the streaming service needs content. And and this, like, where I'm going with this is I'm wondering if they've hit a point where this is now they've now got this down to a science. They can whip these out fast enough, and now HBO Max has new fresh content to get eyeballs on the streamer. And as Robert and I have talked about ad nauseum, now I'm starting to get to a point where I think the streamers don't care if the quality is any good. They just want to draw eyeballs, and people will come check out whatever the new thing is. In many cases, and if it's not good, oh well, it's not good. But you've already spent the time watching, and you'll be back for the next new thing, whatever it is. And maybe if it's not this, it'll be something else. But there's not an eye on making sure you put out a quality product anymore. Like, this has become very much an exercise in creating widgets, is where I'm going. Which is kind of a shame, because like we've always, you and I at the very least, and other people who watch this show and watch these cartoons have prized this as being one of the best, most fun parts of our culture, and it's been reduced to machine widgets. Like, I'm all for licensing this stuff on mugs and t-shirts and whatnot, but but the product itself should remain good, and I don't think anyone working on these things really cares anymore.
Exactly. It really does feel like this staff and crew were just like, toss this here. I'll put Elmer here, put Bugs' hole here, done.
Yep. So last thing, because we said we were going to talk about it, the Looney Tunes Cartoons, Valentine's Extwavaganza. We never did the Christmas one, which I'm fine with, but I put that on for my kids, and I remember them saying at the time it was okay. They had fun with it. So I was curious to see what they were going to do for this Valentine's Day special. And it's looks like it's just basically an extra episode. There's nothing really different about it. It's dark chocolate, and then traffic cop stop, Leadfoot, and then Bunny and the Beast. So this first one, basically Daffy is hiding. Porky is trying. Poor Porky. Like, I've gotten to a point where, like, I'm with my kids with just him now, where I feel so bad for him. It's not fun to see him get tortured anymore. Like, so he's just trying to deliver Valentine's Day chocolates to Petunia, whom he loves, and and Daffy's like, I want chocolate, and Porky's like, well, no, this is a gift for my beloved, and he's like, give me chocolate. Like, literally just like that too. Like, there's nothing funny about it. That's the kind of person who, when you deal with in real life, you want to punch in the throat.
This short could have been a lot funnier, actually, if they had cut the opening part where he's trying to steal the chocolate, and Porky says, no, these are for Petunia, and just had it where Porky's walking down the street with a box of chocolate, a heart box of chocolates, and Daffy just starts stealing the chocolates just because it's Daffy.
Right.
Something kind of similar to the cement dance from the first season that we reviewed. And then we could have had dialogue at the end when they get to the house, and they're like, hi Porky, hi. It's like, I brought some chocolates, and they open up the bin and there's Daffy in there. But I think it would have been a lot funnier if it just been more Daffy is not being malicious, he is just being a force of nature style wacky cartoon character who wants chocolate.
Right. But once you start off with, these are for Petunia, I want chocolate. Like, okay, yeah, you're not a force of nature, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
And we're back to jerks molesting morons again. And it's like, ugh, I don't, that's not fun for me. Like, it's meant to be funny, but like, this is only funny when you like the characters. I used to love Daffy Duck.
Yeah.
And I don't like him right now. And that's not a great way to make these cartoons. I don't remember the interstitial traffic cop stop. Which one's this one again?
Porky's a cop who stops Daffy, and Daffy says, I have a lead foot, and his foot is literally a number 2 pencil. And then he erases Porky's head and draws Daffy's head there, and then it cuts to them having little half Porky, half Daffy kids.
Oh God, that's right. Yet again, another example of like horrifying images where look, someone's gonna listen to that and be like, is he like, did you just not like same-sex marriage? That's not it at all. I don't care that it was 2 versions of Daffy, but it was all like the little half Daffy, half Porky children running around.
We're not against same-sex marriage, we're against interspecies breeding.
I don't even care about. I'm not even caring about that. But could we make them? I don't know. nice to look at the very least. Like, this was like when with Kermit and Piggy, where they've done them, and it's like they flash to the future and it's their children. It's like these half frog, half pig amalgamation horrors. I'm like, this does not go
going back
together
to that
very well.
Family Guy joke. Kill me!
Right. Yeah, swing and a miss there, guys. So and I think that's when both my kids looked at me and they're like, why do we watch these horror cartoons? The last one is Bugs comes face to face with an unexpected admirer. I think I had completely tuned out by this point. I don't remember this one.
This was an homage to a classic Robert McKimson cartoon called Gorilla My Dreams.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah. Where in that classic short, Bugs is pseudo-adopted by a female gorilla who's upset that she doesn't have a child. And Bugs...
Elvis, look what the baby said.
There's actually two of those. There's two of those that they did with the gorillas, and it's to say one where she just comes across from another one where the stork loses the baby,
right? And
he knocks Bugs on the head. It's like, distract them while I go find the other kid.
Right.
So, but that is clearly who this female gorilla was modeled after. And it did kind of make me laugh on a little bit. It was kind of funny some of the times when she's basically torturing Bugs. He's trying to get us like, how about a massage, to get out of kissing. And she starts crushing. I was like, no, I give you a massage. And it's actually kind of funny because he pours oil on her back and then he puts these little brush shoes on and he's skating on her back. And I was like, that's pseudo adorable. Actually, I kind of like that. And yeah, there's a couple of parts. It's like I genuinely laughed at it. And then you find out that the girl is married and Bugs gets the hell out of there.
Yeah.
But then he runs into a female Godzilla. It pulls the flowers out and goes, yeah, I am on the rebound. Just again, it's like there was something funny there, but it got really pushed down. And I think what bugs me the most is that the Christmas shorts and other specials we've seen with these guys, it feels more like those were shorts that were specifically written for that event. These three shorts genuinely feel like they had been written for just standard seasons 1, 2, 3, whatever. And someone said, oh, hey, we need to do a Valentine's Day thing. We'll pick the 3 shorts we've already done that have something close to love in them, and we'll put them in that. It really didn't feel, again, this season feels lazy. Beyond lazy, and we have seen good stuff out of Warner Brothers, out of HBO Max, out of this crew, these directors, these animators, these voice actors. We know they can do better.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix it. To be honest with you, as I was listening to you and sitting here thinking about it, I don't know how to make this better, because when you think about where this came from, it was all very organic. It was animators working for Warner Brothers, presumably, and they were just funny guys, and and they had something like, you think about like the golden age of cartoons, if like Tex Avery had a genuinely wacky sense of humor, and he didn't just do Looney Tunes. He went on to do other things as well, and it was the same style. He clearly saw the world a certain way, and that was reflective in his cartoons. I'm sure you can name drop a couple more of they had a style, they had a
Chuck
perspective.
Jones, Friz Freleng, Bob Clampett, Bob McKinson, Frank Tashlin, Norm McCabe.
Right. They all worked together over the years. They all saw the reasons why these were good is that they were genuinely their own creations. They were not going, well, what is Walt doing at the studio next door? Let's do some of that. They were actively like, no. We have a perspective, and we have something to say with these cartoons, and we're going to say them. And they resonated with people, and they were a big hit. And Bugs Bunny becomes an icon, part of American iconography.
Iconography.
I say it my way. You say tomato.
Where's that ad for Grammarly again?
It's up here. So anyway,
Looney Tunes may be for a general audience. Our sure as hell isn't.
Hail President Screw. Anyway.
I just watched that the other day. That's free on YouTube with ads.
What, Spaceballs?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, there's. I think I watched Airplane a couple of years ago. It was free on YouTube.
I
Anyway,
love Airplane.
Airplane is very funny. The point that I was getting to is now, all these generations later, all these years later, you have people who this is their job. Like I am a writer, I am an animator, and I am hired by this giant, multinational corporation, and this is the gig that they assigned me. And it's like they don't have an angle, they don't have a perspective. This is the job. Their job is to write shorts or animate shorts for this big company, and it's they're doing their best and they want to keep their jobs, but this is not their passion like it was the people who invented this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never, and there's no, you can't go back and get Tex Avery from that era and bring him here. Nor do I think you can find another Tex Avery out there. And if you do, he probably doesn't want to do Looney Tunes. He wants to do his own thing. So, we'll keep watching and see if these get any better, but I can't imagine. I can't imagine we're going to hit this point where it's like, oh my God, now we really have something to talk about with this. Like, no, here they are again, more Looney Tunes. All right, anything else before we stop for the evening?
No, I think that's it. Like I said, just guys, we know you have better potential. We know you're better than this. We have seen some really good cartoons come out of you guys here in the last few seasons. Just go back to what you had given us originally, please.
All right, before we go into plugs, I just want to go ahead and remind everybody that we are giving away a free 30-day trial of Amazon Music. Amazon Music Unlimited has over 70 million songs that you can stream. If you click the link in our description of this podcast, it is getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. Again, it's getamazonmusic.com/W2M network for your free 30-day trial. Give it a shot. You can check out all the old orchestral music from the Looney Tunes cartoons that's up there. That's all pretty good stuff. I used to have a whole bunch of those CDs, as a matter of fact, or like a Pops orchestra performing a night of Looney Tunes music, which is always fun. And that's all available to you on Amazon Music Unlimited. So click the link, getamazonmusic.com/W2M network, complete the sign-up process, give it a shot for 30 days. And if you don't like it, you can cancel it. No fuss, no muss. All right, I threw up your website. I remember the assignment. Go ahead and talk about it.
You're so kind. Yes, this is my company, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We are getting ready to get back on the road here pretty soon. So excited. Going to be heading to the Lexington Comic and Toy Con in March. It's our first time working that show. Amazon, could you please stop pushing in scented wax with my stuff from some other company called Creations? I mean, my God. It's like, okay, I don't know why. It's like, see, there's my jewelry, and there's my jewelry, and there's scented wax. All right, our shops are full stock online. To those in the Kansas City area, be sure to hit up Level 1 Game Shop and Mind Games and Magic. Our work is currently being sold there. We have some new items that are going to be coming out here pretty soon. I'm working on a few more details. None of that is mine. There's 3 things that are mine there. It's just like, wait, let's actually have my shit up there, shall we? So yeah, you can find us. We have shops on Handmade at Amazon, as you can see. We also have shops on Etsy, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
Okay. So also, I'm going to pitch it back to you. You got a trivia coming up.
Yes, we do. Tripped Up Trivia is going to be recording pretty soon, getting ready for our February contest. The theme this month is everything The Dark Knight. It's time to talk Batman. This is, of course, to celebrate the upcoming new Batman movie starring Robert Pattinson. We are still looking for a few contestants if you're interested in playing. If you have knowledge of Batman movies, comics, and the classic TV shows, if you think you can best us, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Let us know that you want to play.
So you'll hear Alexis again, I think next in 2 weeks, I think. We've got the Book of Boba Fett, Uncharted, Cuphead, which my kids are really excited about. Like my son was like, "Have you heard about this new Cuphead show?" And I'm like, "Apparently everyone has, but me." So I will be watching Cuphead with my kids, and we will come back and talk about it. And then you will also be on to talk with me and Jason about Peacemaker. In April, we've got Resident Alien and Pam and Tommy, and then in May, Upload. Plus, I'm sure there'll be a movie here or there. I don't think I have it on the schedule, but we'll be talking Turning Red when that hits Disney Plus. So you'll get more of Alexis, Hejna on those shows. In the meantime, hey, real quick, as we're recording this, so we're streaming to Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. You may have noticed we are not streaming to YouTube, and that is because somebody hacked our account, uploaded a naughty video. We got a community flag, and then we said, hey, that's clearly not us. None of us are teenage girls, as you can plainly see in the hundreds of videos that we have currently on YouTube. And they went, but what if you were? And left the community strike there anyway. So we're banned from YouTube for a week for something we didn't do, which makes me oh so very happy. And so there'll be an audio version of this. The video will follow in a week or so, or whenever it is they lift the community strike. And that being said, tonight, myself and Jason Teasley will be continuing a look at Black cinema for Black History Month. We'll be looking at some 70s blaxploitation classics like Coffee with Pam Grier, Superfly, and Blackula, which I think needs to be remade with Jordan Peele directing and producing.
Because there's nothing like a couple of middle-aged white guys talking about Blackula.
That's right. And Coffee and Superfly. I am an ally of the Black community. Thank you very much. So who better than me to hoist that flag and carry it forward?
Yeah, no one better than a man in his 40s living in Florida.
Yep, bald-headed white guy living in Florida, working in correctional institutions. Anyway, we also got this week. We started actually the week with two different Shaft shows. One from a few years ago that Sean Comer and I did. We looked at the first 370 Shaft movies. Then Jason and I finished up the Shaft Circle with Shaft 2000 and 2019. Robert and I discussed Moonfall last night. The boys and I reviewed Korn. No blind reacts this time. we just reviewed the album.
I can't believe Winfrey's still alive after reviewing Moonfall. I was so sure that was going to kill him.
Yeah. I was serious when I said I'd bond him out of jail if he burned the theater down. We also re-aired today our Sean Comer and I doing a on trial for Batman v Superman. So now there's two different reviews of the same movie, which I tend not to do, and I really don't like to do for this very reason. But at the time, I think, Robert and I's review when it happened was very much like dealing with what was happening in the culture at that moment and why everyone was reacting so viscerally to it. Sean and I did more of a re-examination of the movie. Like, okay, all this time has passed. Let's go back and look at this now. And does it hold up at all? So it's a different take. Also, Sean and I review things differently than Robert and I review things differently. So it's just a different perspective, another voice with the same movie. You can compare and contrast if you want, but that's because today, as you're listening to this, the Batman is on sale. Tickets for the Batman, I got mine. I'm taking my kids Friday to a 3:00 show at the IMAX theater near me. So we are marking the occasion with our on trial for Batman v Superman, or as we like to call it, Batman very Superman. This weekend, continuing our celebration of Black history, Body Count's in the house. We've got a re-airing of our first Body Count album from Original Gangsta, Ice-T, his thrash metal band. No boxing or wrestling this weekend. We couldn't live stream to YouTube anyway, even if I wanted to. But after the Super Bowl, we'll be doing a triple feature for National Champions, American Underdog, and We Are Marshall. We'll also have a re-airing of Warcraft, and then we are kicking off Uncharted Week with a source material with Jesse Starcher and Ronnie Adams reviewing the DC comic Uncharted comic book adaptation. All right, so that's it. That's all for me. Thanks. I'm driving. For Alexis, Hejna, I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.